What's up, guys? So today I have a fun video for you guys. I thought it would be fun to take a look back on our journey before we started our YouTube channel. So we closed on our house exactly 1 year from today, October 18th of 2021, and our journey into homesteading actually started a couple days before we closed on our house. This was about October 15th or 16th when we received our new chickens. This was our first time ever being with baby chickens, live chicks, hearing them in person, so my daughters were a little nervous. We were still living in our RV until we closed on our homestead, so we did put them in a pool on our table in our RV. I would highly not suggest living with chickens in an RV, but we did until it was time to close. Then the day that we closed, we quickly came back to our RV site, packed all our things up, and drove away. We were really excited to get to our new homestead. It had been a long journey into getting this piece of property, and so we were definitely excited once we pulled out of the RV site, knowing that that would be our last day there, that we were not returning, that we were on our way to our forever home. This is the property before we got it fenced in, before we had any trees cut down. And so this is actually the garden area right now. You can see that it is completely shaded. It has lots of trees. Those are the pines that I'm always talking about. And the driveway, which is super small. It was really hard to drive into the driveway. Those are pines sitting at what is now the driveway. So we did have those knocked down. We also had a storage unit, and so we had to go get our things out of the storage and pack them into a U-Haul, the biggest U-Haul that we could get, to be able to move the things back to our new homestead. So we were really excited about that. That night we spent the time taking off of these cabinet doors and cleaning. I did know that I wanted to paint these bottom cabinets, and so we were taking the time to take all of those off, as well as the top cabinets. My husband is cleaning the walls because we didn't have a chance to clean before moving in, and since we knew we were moving to a big property with lots of grass, we did go ahead and get a riding lawnmower as well as a trailer bed. After we began moving our stuff in, I came into the RV that we lived in for about 2 years, just to look at what was going on. I knew that I wanted to start a YouTube channel, and so I had been taking little clips and just saving them until I got up the courage to start my channel. We did have lots of storage, and so I'm just showing all of the things that we had storage in. We did have a bunkhouse at the back of the RV, which had 4 beds in it, and so this is where my kids had been for the last 2 years. The 2 bottom bunk beds were wider than the ones on top, and so after we started moving our stuff in, I did just come in here and take a look around. I did paint those bottom cabinets in the RV yellow as well, and so that's when I fell in love with the color and knew I wanted yellow cabinets in our house. And this was my husband's first time riding lawnmower in our old property. We only had I think a 1/4 of an acre, and so we didn't have a riding lawnmower, and so he was really excited about that. I was just showing him driving it for the first time. As you can see, this is our backyard right now, which is completely wooded. Lots of big trees. You can see right where the shed is at. We did keep that one tree with the swing, but you can see all of these trees that are not there now. We did finally get this shed completely knocked down. We did know that it wasn't in the best of the shape. And our previous owner did have a garden, and so we do have lots and lots of deers, and he didn't have it fenced in around his property, but he did have a 6-foot fence around what is his garden area. He actually put the garden area kind of, if you're familiar with my property, where I have all of the wood stumps and the wood ash pile. It's the lowest part of our property, and that's where he had his garden. our neighbors had told us that he did try an in-ground garden, but realized that it was too mushy wet in that area, and so instead he changed it into a container garden. And so he did have it protected. I'm just showing you around. We didn't know where our property ended or begun because it was really thick with brush as well as these big trees. And so we did know that we wanted to knock down some trees, and so we did call in lots of tree companies to get some quotes, which was really expensive by just regular tree companies because they charge it by knocking down each tree. So that's when I started looking into getting things forest mulched, but we did know that which would be a cheaper alternative, but we did know that we needed to clean up the property because it did have lots of trash, lots of metal. We did know that we had walnut trees there and other fruit trees, but we weren't able to know the full extent until we started cleaning up. And so I'm just going around and looking at everything and seeing all of the metal that we need to get up. A week after we moved into our homestead, we did have a camping trip, and so we packed our chickens up in a cardboard box and got in our RV once again for the last time and moved it to a campground where we spent the weekend with friends camping. And then we came back to our homestead, and my son began mowing out back, and we began cleaning up. We did have to watch out for lots of metal, like I said before. The tree company, I don't remember the name, but they were forest mulch people. I watched lots of videos of how people forest mulch their property. You can see all of those clusters of pines in the driveway right there, and how shaded the garden area is right there on the left. That is where I have my garden at right now. And so we did want to go ahead and get those trees removed. We did try to quote someone coming out and taking down the pine for free and then using it for lumber, but we didn't have enough pine for to make it worth their time to come out, and so that is why we just went ahead and forest mulched all of them. There were only about maybe 10 pine trees total. The rest were gum trees and trees that weren't really beneficial to keep on our property. And the day before they began forest mulching, they did come and put the equipment on our property so that they could begin bright and early in the morning. And we had fun watching them from our house, just watching the big machines easily mulch down these large trees and brighten up, allow sun to get into the area. And so we watched them for long periods. These machines chomp down and grind down all of these trees, and it was really exciting to watch because I knew that it was going to open up the sun. And as you can see right there on the left where my garden is right now, it's already beginning to be lots more sunny. I did want to get one time them knocking down this tree because we would be inside the house and feel the whole house rumble, and it was because of how big, you can see how large and tall these pine trees were. And so we did watch them knock down a few trees and just hear how loud it was. You never think when a tree is, you know, standing up so tall, how loud it was going to be when it fell. But this tree is about to fall, and you'll hear it when it falls. So right here I'm just showing you what the back area looks like, how densely the trees were, and then this is right after they've knocked down lots of trees. They also was cleaning up the driveway, and so this is my future garden area. This was the end of day one. They almost got all of the trees knocked down. I am at the back of the property, and you can see they only have a few trees at the back, a line of the property left to knock down. There were some trees that they said that they couldn't knock down because it was leaning close to our house. This is the time that my husband also got his first pickup truck. He was super excited because he's always wanted this specific truck, and so he got this shortly after we got our property. We knew that we were going to need a truck to be able to be loading in some things that you would need for Homestead, and so he was super excited to pull up with that. Right after we finished getting all of the trees knocked down, we did contact a fence company, and they came out and started putting in the posts for our new fence. I did want the front part of our house to be wooded post. You know that at this time wood was super expensive, and so that's why we didn't have our whole property with wood. But I did want this front area right here with wood because I thought it would look really pretty, and I am excited with how it turned out. So this is our future front. I did, once the fence was all put in, I had ordered about 300 or 400 daffodil bulbs, and it was time to put them in. So I started working on this garden area. You can see where I planted the blueberries, and then right in the front we dug this trench, and I am planting the daffodils. You know, we started saving cardboard long before we even moved to this property, and you can see how much cardboard is laid down. And I am just moving the wood chips out of the way because since having a forest mulch, there was lots and lots of wood chips, and I wanted to save them to put on top of the cardboard, so I didn't want to necessarily cover them because I knew that it would probably be hard to get wood chips delivered out in the country, and so I wanted to be able to use the wood chips from our property. And so it took a lot of time and a lot of arm muscles to rake this wood chips out of the way, and lots of cardboard that you don't even think you need as much cardboard, but this was lots of cardboard. We began getting cardboard even from Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Family Dollar, just collecting all of the cardboard. Thank goodness those places were close to us because it took lots and lots of cardboard to lay down this no dig, but that is the way I knew I wanted to build this garden. That is the way that I eventually built my old garden. I started out tilling, and we had clay soil, and so I did try some in-ground gardening at first, but eventually I went to putting down cardboard when I built my raised beds area before we moved. And so I knew that this time I wanted to just start out no dig because it was less work as far as shoveling and digging and all that stuff. We did double dig my old garden at one point, and so I knew that I just wanted to go ahead and start no dig in this garden, which meant laying down lots and lots of cardboard. And so pulling off lots of tape, not being perfect, but for the most part pulling off the tape and laying down cardboard is what it took to build this huge garden. I think when I measured it, it was 50 by 100, but it does get slimmer, and so the back area is probably 40 feet wide instead of the 50. And probably instead of 100, it probably goes down to 90 feet. But for the most part, that is the space that I have. And so we just spent the 2 months before I made my first video laying down cardboard, and that took lots of days and lots of hours laying down this cardboard, but it was so worth it because I'm so happy with the garden that I have now. And so this way of starting a garden is definitely can be more expensive because you're not using any soil that is already in the ground. And so this was a more expensive way because you have to bring in all of your soil, all of your compost to be able to build up your beds. Originally, I wanted to start by doing no wood side or no sided beds. I just wanted to kind of do like a Charles Darwin, if you're familiar with him, where he does not have wood side beds, and he says it's because they have a slug problem. We don't really have slugs aren't really one of our pests that we have here in South Carolina, but I did see in one of his videos that he started with wooded sided beds just to frame them out and then eventually took them off. And so as you can just see that we did get topsoil and compost delivered to our property. And we did have some trees that were leaning to our house that the forest company didn't knock down, and so we had a separate tree company come and knock them down limb by limb, and we did tell them that we wanted them in smaller manageable parts so that we could create a burn pile, because at first we were just going to burn them. But as I started building this garden, I realized that I could use them to make beds out of them. And so that is what I started doing. We started picking up some of the pieces that were more manageable to carry and began making wooded or log-sided raised beds, because I figured instead of burning them and wasting the lumber or the wood, that the logs really, that I could use them to form keep the soil inside the garden areas, and I would not have to burn them or worry about burning down our property or anything like that, because we are from the city. We're not familiar with burning things at this point, and so I was kind of nervous about that. So I definitely wanted to utilize having these logs, and so I'm happy with them now that it's been a year, and these logs are still holding strong. They were I don't know all of the trees, but some of these, specifically this one that we're messing with right now, the logs were so hard to drill into. It was really, really crazy. So I don't know what kind of tree that was, but when I tried to later on make a hoop house over it, it was really, really tough. So here you see me working on my first raised bed. This is the bed that I did my first video on, of planting 540 onion bulbs in this bed. I think it was 3 feet wide by 21 or 22 feet long, and I used a mixture of, tried to do half compost, half topsoil, and then I also added in some hands of perlite as well as some peat moss to lighten it up and fluff it up and let the soil mixture go a long way. While I was outside working on raised beds, my husband was in our garage working on our chickshaw. This is what I wanted our chickens to go into, so that I knew that we can move them. And so the night that he finished, we went ahead and got our chickens. They were in the garden area, at the back area from where I was working on the front, and my children and my husband got them all out in the night and put them inside their new home. We did make it with an automatic door, so that we knew that we didn't have to open and close them, that they can learn to go in and out. So that is it, guys. Welcome back to the future, October 18th of 2022. I hope you enjoyed taking a look down memory lane with me to see the first 2 months before we started making YouTube videos, how we built this homestead from October 18th getting here all the way till December. As you can see, this is the garden area. Right now it is in full sun. When I first moved to this property, I did realize quickly that east was this way towards the front of my garden, and that the sun setted west. And so I knew that I wanted to have my garden here, one, because it was closest to the house, and they say if you keep your garden close to your house, you would take care of it more. And so I knew I wanted it close to my house because I am lazy and I didn't want it far, far away. And then also because this seemed like the most level spot of the whole property, because our property does have lots of dips and a low spot going toward the middle. So I'm really happy that I put my garden here. There are some stuff that I would have done differently, as far as like laying down the landscape fabric, which I had from the beginning, but I just didn't lay it down. And so now just working backwards. And so yeah, there's things that I would have changed, but overall I'm happy with the design of the garden and the homestead, and I look forward to looking back in the next year. And now, since I'm making videos, we would have it all together to look at. And so thank you guys so much for following along on this journey as we've been building not only this garden area but this homestead, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.